Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing Pokemon Detective Pikachu. This was directed by Rob Letterman and stars Ryan Reynolds, Justice Smith, Karen Newton, Bill Nighy and Ken Watanabe. And the story really looks at famed detective Harry Goodman, who mysteriously goes missing. And it looks at his 21-year-old son Tim, played by Justice Smith, who goes to find him, to find out what happened to him. And he ultimately, upon trying to work out what transpired with his father that he hadn't had a good relationship with in a number of years, he comes upon small Pikachu, voiced by Ryan Reynolds. And he's ultimately a detective. And these two form a bond and ultimately go on their journey to find out what happened to Tim's father. We find out Pikachu was his father's partner and ultimately has memory loss and doesn't remember what transpired. So it's about these two, about Detective Pikachu and Tim banding together to find out what happened to Tim's father and Pikachu's partner. Going into this film, I'm not a huge fan of Pokemon. It's not something I really got into as a younger person. I think I was a bit old for when it came out, and I know it's a big thing that everybody's really interested in and loves, but it just isn't really something I connected to. I know who Pikachu is, everybody around the world would know who Pikachu is, but I'd never really heard of Detective Pikachu, and I didn't know how that sort of worked within the particular world that these Pokemon and humans take place. The trailer really showed this film as a fun and entertaining ride, and that's what I had in mind when I went in to see it. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I hoped it was going to be fun and entertaining, and for the most part it was. It wasn't a brilliant film in my opinion, and the storyline was a bit cliche, but it was kind of an interesting world to see. I like how they made a live action version of this sort of known phenomenon and series Pokemon, and how they had human characters and Pokemon together coexisting within the world. I like that. I thought that was an interesting idea, and it's sort of hats off to them for creating that world. We got a real sense of what was going on straight on, even though we were thrown into and didn't know a lot. We learned a lot throughout the film. And this is what I really enjoyed about this particular film. Just the world. I liked the world that it was created, unique and different. I like it was Rhyme City, but it sort of reminds me of a Japanese, town or city, within that world. And it's really, I think by having that Japanese background, that really brings it to life in this film, and they sort of pay tribute to that, of where it came from, by showing the city in a particular way, in a particular light. And I really liked that aspect to the film as well. There's things about this film I liked and things I didn't. So I'll start with the positive. So like I said, I liked the world that was created. I liked really the detective element. I enjoyed. It was a little cliched, and the twists and turns in this film you could see coming a mile off. It just wasn't that mystery and twisty and turny, but that was the real thing that drew me to this film, is the detective noir element that this film really feels like it has, even though it was a comedy version of that in a way. And I liked that. That was something that really drew me into it. I like detective stories and movies and books, and so that was something that sort of clicked with me straight away. I think all the cast does a solid job. I think Catherine Newton was really good. She plays Lucy Stevens, as sort of Nancy Drew, Lois Lane-esque sort of character, is trying to make her way in this sort of becoming a reporter. And I thought she was kind of really interesting. She was the character I really connected to begin with, and I liked following her along this journey. I thought she was fun and interesting, and I really liked the Pokemon she had. I'm not quite sure the name of it, but it was sort of looked like a duck that when it got nervous it could explode, and I kind of liked that aspect to it. I thought that was a really great character. And she just adds a lot of interest, intrigue and mystery to the film, I felt. And I felt I would have enjoyed it a lot more if she was the main character rather than Justice Smith, who, look, I didn't mind him in this, but it wasn't his strongest performance. Paper Towns is the only film I've really liked him in. I just find his brand of comedy and the way he acts just isn't my type of thing. He's not my type of actor. But I'm not saying he's terrible or bad. The real standout here was Ryan Reynolds playing Detective Pikachu. He was fantastic in this. His humour really hit for me. I thought he was really fun and interesting character, and he brought a lot to the role, I felt. And I was really impressed with the voice work he did. Originally, he's been quoted as saying that he wanted to do a kind of a noir, sort of gritty, sort of detective voice, but they just really wanted him to do his voice. And there's a point and purpose to that, which you see later in this sort of film, that I'm not going to give away here. Thought Ken Watanabe was really great in this, playing Lieutenant Hyde Yoshida. I thought he was really great in the little moments he had. He's an actor I've sort of slowly really started to like. I really first saw him in Last Samurai and then obviously in Inception, but this is sort of a different role for him. He's only a small role, but I think he gives such gravity. And I thought he did a solid job in this film. Now, the things I didn't like. I didn't really care much for Tim, Justice Smith's character. I didn't really get behind him. I didn't feel any connection with him. I found him a very hard character to connect to in any way, shape or form. And I just found him kind of frustrating at times. He grows on you a little bit throughout the film and gets a bit better through the film, but I just didn't love it. And like I said, you know, you see a lot of the twists and turns in this film coming a mile away, and it is quite cliched in its storytelling in a lot of aspects. It sort of is taking from other particular films, like especially this one sequence which I won't go into depth here, but that reminds me of the T-1000 as it goes into, from Terminator 2, as it goes into the lava pit and it transforms back into its different forms that it took throughout the film. And there's a scene in that sort of copies that in a lot of ways. And also there's a particular parade scene that really feels like they stole from the 1989 original Batman. And it feels a lot like that. And I just felt that they could have done something a bit different with the film. And I just felt it could have been a much more an entertaining movie. And for me, I guess, because I'm not a huge Pokemon fan, I didn't really connect with that either. I did like the designs of the characters and the different Pokemon that appeared in the film, and I liked how they sort of combined them in the real world. I thought that was kind of clever, but I just didn't connect to them. It isn't my type of thing. Pikachu's the only character in it that I really knew, and I liked his character because of his ability to be interesting and wisecrack and funny and smart, but that's not how the character usually is. It isn't able to speak like it does in this film, but they use that as a particular reason why he does speak and why Tim can understand him. And I felt the villains were a bit cliched in it as well, but it was kind of interesting fun. It wasn't a great movie, but it was okay, and it was alright, and I enjoyed aspects of it. But it wasn't brilliant in my opinion, and it wasn't as fun and entertaining as I thought it would be. And there's one particular sequence I really didn't like that much, where you see particular Pokemon grown to a bigger size that doesn't feel realistic, and I didn't quite enjoy that at all either. Final verdict. If you're a fan of Pokemon, you'll probably enjoy this film. If you like movies with a bit of twists and turns and a mystery to it, you might like this as well. And if you're a fan of Ryan Reynolds, you probably get a kick out of his voice work in this playing Detective Pikachu. But overall, I didn't love this film. I thought it was okay and alright. And there was aspects I like and aspects I didn't. It's not really a film for me, I didn't feel, but I'm gathering there'll be a lot of people out there who enjoy this sort of particular film and subject matter. I'm going to give Pokemon Detective Pikachu 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was okay, it had good moments, there was good things to it, bad things to it. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe down the bottom. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.